for this. I'm going to turn it over to Dustin and ForceBrands in just a moment. I do want to, for those who are not part of the Brandjectory community, tell you a little bit about what we do. My name is Tom Malingo. I'm one of the founders, along with my wife, Susan Bryanton, who you see, sort of see here on the call. What we offer at Brandjectory is an education, engagement, and exposure platform for brands under 10 million in sales, seed to Series A in CPG. We have more than 100 brands in the platform. We have about 800 investors in our network and probably 200 experts like Dustin that we call on, and other folks that I actually see on this line to help with brands and to spend a little time with them in sessions like this. And throughout the month, we offer a series of virtual meetings that engage brands founders directly with industry investors through meetups and what we call space labs, which are educational educational classroom sessions, chance to ask questions of an expert and get feedback. We do practice pitch sessions with investors. We do webinars like this. We have group problem-solving sessions with founders. Everything we do is designed around giving brands the opportunity to engage directly with some of the best people in the CPG industry. And that's why we asked ForceBrands to be here today. I will add Brandjectory's information, how to reach Susan and myself, and our LinkedIn profiles in the chat. I will also add Dustin's and ForceBrands websites so you can reach them. But with that, I am going to now turn it over to Dustin, and we'll get started. So, Dustin, I thank you for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you, and please feel free to get started.
Thank you, Tom. Bringing the CPG community together. Thanks everyone for showing up. My goal is to be helpful here. So there is going to be a lot of slides that beg questions and give good information, hopefully. If it's not good, tell me. I've got thick skin. But I'll just share my screen. I got some quick slides to run through, and we'll go from there. Everyone can see that, yeah?
Yes, we can.
That's me. Look at me go. Super. So I'm over at ForceBrands, right? What, maybe y'all have heard of us, maybe not. We help brands from the human capital perspective. We help with hiring, growth planning, advisory services. What does that mean? That can be full-time, part-time. That's everything from a board to maybe filling in from a fractional perspective. And that full-time to consult is going to be some things that we uncover here today. So we want to help at every stage. We work with brands as early as pre-production, as late as post-exit, acquisition, whatever that transaction might look like. As I mentioned, direct hire, executive search, advisory, and then fractional and staffing are all things that we do. And then like what part, like CPG, what is that, Dustin? Like, tell me more. So look, I would say where our backbone had traditionally been in brands that you find in your Whole Foods, your Sprouts, has evolved to not only your grocery store, but your Sephora, your Ulta, your Targets, your Walmarts. So we're working with brands across food, bev, beauty, pet. If you can eat it, if it's in your fridge, in your pantry, on your desk, in your workout room, on your face, those are all brands that we've partnered with, and we partner with across every level. Well, tell me more, Dustin. Who else? These are some friends of ours. So you have someone like Walmart that we've worked with directly. You have some celebrity-backed brands here, like Avalane with Cameron Diaz. You have Curaleaf, a billion-dollar cannabis brand. Beyond Meat, we worked pre-IPO. Same thing with Oatly. Blue Buffalo before the acquisition. Rode, which had a nice little exit recently. These are some of our brands, just a snapshot of, you got some Bev Alc, you got some Better For You, you have coffee, you have wine, just a little snapshot here, right? So today, like, why did we all get on the call today? What am I going to cover? If you hate all this, like, maybe this one's not for you, but hopefully this is providing some good takeaways. So hiring, this is what we help with. I want to like make a statement here. My goal, the way I put food on the plate for me and mine is working with brands to help hire. There's plenty of times working with brands that might be at some of the stages that y'all are at where I try to coach not to hire. You've probably heard Tom tell you, hey, no, I'm sorry, you can't go hire a CFO right now. That's true. Let's talk about what some of those pressure points are that could be. So things to consider before you begin the hiring process. Okay, I need to hire. So what? Is it full-time or part-time or different? Let's talk about that. What do these people cost? And there's cost kind of 2x I want to consider. There's cost of actual financial, and then there's the cost of your time and the emotional side of it. This question I get, like, okay, I'm hiring someone. What do I need to provide in terms of benefits? And then maybe some final thoughts and takeaways. So, fun, break the ice. Who here thinks they'll add someone at some capacity to their team in the next 12 months? Like, whether that's, I'm going to need a consultant too. I'm going to need a, oh, wow. Yes, there's a survey. Yes, no, not sure. Are you going to be adding anybody to the team in the next 12 months, next year? So it's July 25, July 26. Where's your business going to be? And are you going to have anybody? Second question. If you are or you aren't, what's impeding the hire from taking place sooner now? Like, what's impeding you from hiring or making the decision to hire? Is it budget? Hey, I honestly, we're set. Our team's good to go. We don't need anybody. I don't know what the job should look like or the role would look like. I got too much junk on my plate right now. I'm trying to run a business. How can I even think about hiring? Or I'm concerned about the commitment to onboard someone and get them up and running. Like, these are all things. I think I can click. So I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say I'm concerned about the commitment. We'll see how we go. How do I see the results, Tom?
I don't think I set it up that way, and I apologize, but we've got
That's all right.
6 of the
So,
folks are looking to hire this year.
or
And
head to the team, amazing.
we've got a pretty good mix. Concerned about commitment, unclear of job roles, and
Yeah.
budget constraints.
Yeah. Welcome to the environment, everyone. Those are very warranted pain points. And so oh, wow, amazing. Budget constraints, unclear of the role, and concern about any commitments. Super. Let's roll with that. So that's the first one. And then we talked about what's impeding the decision. So this all starts with, guess what? You being the decision maker, the founder, the person who's wearing the founder and CEO hat. You are the leader or one of the leaders of your brand. This is an exercise that we highly recommend, and it's just understanding of mapping your strengths. So, what do I mean by that? What are you good at? What are you good at, and what do you enjoy doing? And are they the same? Right? Be honest. I often uncover this working with clients that there's sometimes a misalignment, i.e., I love really diving into the numbers, but I'm not good financially. That doesn't add up, pun intended, to me. Understanding where you are and where you aren't good. So let's use the finance one again. Hey, I'm just not great with numbers. I don't know what the difference between margin is, net versus gross rev. Okay, so that's a blind spot. And then this can be a self-assessment. So my recommendation is understand what you do well, understand what you don't, and how do you build people around you that have bigger muscles than you in those segments, i.e. don't go and get someone else just like you. So you've done this assessment, you know, all right, I'm a great, no one's going to sell the brand better than I am, and no one's going to market the brand better than I am. Great. Those are positive takeaways. So you think you need to hire, you know, your blind spots. So what about like a checklist of like, I don't know, like people are really expensive. They are, by the way. People are expensive. It's going to be an incredibly expensive line item for your business as you continue to grow. Is there a clear outcome this hire is responsible for? Can I explain this? So I like these 1 and 2. Is there an outcome for the hire? And can I explain to who that person might be what success looks like? So if you're trying to sell it to your board or your investors, I need to go hire a e-com manager, and they ask why, you should clearly say, well, the idea is they get Amazon and Walmart.com up and running. They price us against our competitors, and we grow it from 100K to 500K in the next 3 to 6 months. That that makes, like, I can see we can work with that, right? Um, Budget. We talked about this. Like, okay, what's an ecom manager cost, and can I afford a full-time one? And can I uh, help them with Amazon, or is it really I'm hiring them to help me? Um, do I need this more than once? Amazon, say it's your main channel, or it's a direct to consumer business, it is our main channel. That need probably isn't going away for support and know-how. So I wouldn't say sales through Amazon is necessarily a one-off project. Components of that could be, but again, we can talk about all this more in detail. And is now really the time, or is it just an uncomfortable time? And what I'll say is the latter is a lot of the situation here. Like, I'm trying to offload discomforts. Um, I'm buried. I hear this all the time. I can't respond to a buyer. I can't get to my co-packer, and you're in a point where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if you are checking a lot of these boxes, yes, maybe we should talk about helping. And okay, so you've established your strengths. It's clear I need to hire. I don't know at what capacity. And so let's talk about these 4 buckets. There's 3 here up top, but we're going to talk about 4. Ops, things to think about. I'd be curious if anybody has a vertically integrated business. Are you doing your own production here? I would assume that a lot of y'all are not. And co-mans are a great way to do this, right? Especially as your business hits scale. That's going to affect who your ops person could or would be. If you have a turnkey co-man and they're handling all your procurement, that's going to adjust your hiring needs for ops. Marketing, same thing. How are you going to market? Are you traditionally retail? Are you direct to consumer? Do you call yourself this real omni-channel where you're on both fronts? Do you need someone to help with your packaging? Is it custom packaging? Is it complex? All these things. So your ops, your sales, and your marketing, sales look. This is probably the number one. Yeah, this is the number one thing that I say brands early on look to hire, because revenue helps solve all problems. It creates new ones, but it helps solve a lot of problems. So, do I need a salesperson, and where are they selling? Hey, I need help with sales. We just need doors. I hear this. We just need to get into, okay, what doors? Are you looking to go Whole Foods National? Is it Sprouts? Is it Albertson Safeway? Is it Walmart? Why? Do you know why? Those are all things to consider. I like to think of those 4 pillars: ops, marketing, sales, and then we're talking about finance. Look, finance is my favorite one to outsource, especially early on, and maybe even larger than you think. I have plenty of $10 million brands that I know that outsource their finance. They take on the fiduciary responsibility. There's a lot of great partners out there that I'm happy to name or suggest that I have no skin in the game. So please vet accordingly. But that's one that I love to outsource. But you have these pillars. How do you go to hire now that you said exactly who I need to hire? So this is hopefully the core of why you've joined this call. Hey, Dustin, I just told you we need help hiring. I don't know who it is or at what capacity. Can you help us understand some examples? So I'm going to run through this quickly. Like, full-time, high volume of work that's consistently there. A direct-to-consumer brand thinks about making a hire for a customer experience manager. You're a D2C customer first. I don't think those questions are going away anytime soon. That could be legitimate reason for a full-time hire. Strategic business impact. So this is on ops a lot of the time. I think operational excellence is a cornerstone for all businesses, especially as you have more and more proof of concept. But someone who's, like I said, I use a brand who might use one co-man. That's pretty turnkey. But maybe they're not as turnkey. So you're an ops person focused on product development, continue improvement on supply chain, continue improvement on COGS, making sure that you're there at the operational co-man runs of your product to make sure nothing goes wrong. Could be a good idea to have someone full-time there. Someone who, and I'll talk about brand specific knowledge, but also someone who's going to be thinking about your brand all day, every day, waving the XYZ brand flag day in and day out. So a role where deep knowledge about the brand, its product differentiation in the market could be valuable here. One example would be a brand manager. That's someone who is continuing to shape and improve the voice of the brand and make sure that it's harmoniously communicated to the candidate and consumer market. This is an exciting one. You start making full-time hires. These full-time hires are going to shape the culture of your business. This is highly, highly important of who the brand will be known and stand for out there in the consumer ecosystem. So as you go and continue to think about hiring full-time, please note the way we approach things is not only through a skill set perspective, but from a cultural perspective as well. Okay, so what about part-time? So full-time, Dustin, we can't afford, I already know, can't afford full-time. We're going to touch on that price point here in a little bit, but there's plenty of times where you can outsource, especially in today's time. It's really easy to outsource things. There's a lot of things that are turnkey. There's a lot of people who allow you to get a more senior level person and know-how at a fractional basis, which can be excellent for a short sprint for your brand. Regular tasks, low complexity. Maybe graphic designer. Unless you're pumping out your own graphics all the time for content, I know few brands that have full-time graphic designers, full-time copywriters, unless they've hit a certain threshold of size that they need those people and they were outsourcing it so much, it just made sense to bring them in full-time. Social media corner is a great one. You need someone to post on social a few times a day, a week, a month, and need someone to just put that calendar together. Not a full-time. Trying something out. We're going to do some new ad campaign, A/B test. That could easily be an outsourced person or agency. I love that. Another one, in-store activation, part-time field reps. Hey, we're going to start doing some sampling in these new stores. Don't need somebody to do that full-time. Couldn't get someone to commit to that full-time anyway. Hey, Dustin, budgetarily, can't afford full-time. Part-time is what we need. We need support. The cost is too high. Let's go find a great part-time solution. Okay, so fractional, freelance, or full-time, everyone's sticking with me. I'm hoping this is things that is important to y'all. You need to hire, you need help. I don't know what the heck that is. Just help me, Dustin. Goodness. Okay, easy. Finite. Don't need deep brand knowledge. Go hire someone fractional. This is recurring. This is very important to the livelihood of our brand. This is not going away anytime soon. Full time, right? I'm not going to call it. It's not rocket science, like trust your instincts here, but it can be convoluted. So tell me some examples, Dustin, of maybe some brands that you've worked with that hit a pain point, and what did they do? Sure. These are all true examples. Some of them slightly a little bit exaggerated for impact, right? This one's real. Hey, Dustin, I need a director of ops. Okay, Dustin, or okay, brand, XYZ brand, why do you need a director of ops? Can't find a co-packer. We need help. Need a full-time person. No, fractional. Go hire a consultant. There's companies out there who match you with co-mans. They'll help you. They'll take you through the contract. They'll tell you where to leverage things. They'll find you alternatives just for contingency planning. Okay, next brand calls me. Hey, just got into Whole Foods National. We're in the test region down in Texas. We're national. We need someone to help manage our trade spend. We need someone to help understand our placement. And now our product is in areas that we don't have any people in, nor where we've ever been. Okay. It could be an indicator that a full-time solution could be helpful, presuming there's not a sales team, a full-time salesperson in place right now. Let's use another one. Hey, Dustin, I missed a payment to my co-man, my co-packer, my supplier. They're super pissed. I'm worried I'm going to keep screwing this up. Can you help me find a CFO? CFO, no, outsource it. You need a bookkeeper, man. Call him. Let me set you up with one. Let's get you one fractionally, part-time. There's lots of them out there. Fun, right? So ask yourself again, what's the real problem and what are you solving for? Can't find a co-man. All we need to find is a co-man. That's a short-term, hopefully a short-term hurdle you need to get over. Hey, we're going national with a major retailer. That's not going away anytime soon. Look, our books have been a little bit messed up. That can be easily reconciled with the right person. Real brand. Again, this is fun. This happened, what month is it? This, I think, happened in May. So I have a $25 million brand that some of y'all might know. They have had a outsourced, great job getting 25 million with an outsourced operations person. They need to transition from a full-time to from a fractional operator. Why? Let's talk about what happened. So great solution, had this very savvy, very experienced VP of ops level candidate. They had a problem at their co-man during one of their runs for a new product. Call fractional person. Hey, Dustin operator, can you come to the plant? We need to fly you out to Indiana to get on site very quickly. There's a problem. We don't know what it is. Well, hey, sorry, I can't get out there, Dustin. I'm busy. Well, look, we really need you. Well, funny as you have it, I'm fractional. So I'm actually at another client's plant doing the same thing. So I literally cannot be in the same places at the same time. Now, short-term problem with a production run, but innovating product, expanding co-packers, hitting a revenue threshold where things are going to slow down. I would say anybody in this scenario, it'd be very advantageous to look at a full-time operator. Okay, Dustin, this sounds great. You've cleared up everything. You've answered all my questions. This is the best 24 minutes I've spent all week. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. What do these people cost? How do we figure out what these people cost? Like, this seems really hard. It is. People like talk, like, do I have to put my salaries out there? All these things, right? So some examples. What do people cost? Let's talk. Full-time head of sales. Head of sales, don't love that title. We can talk about that offline. Heads off. Don't love it, especially as you scale. In the short term, sure, head of sales hired is fine. Head of ops, etc. Look, it's going to cost you $150 annually. What about like a fractional COO? COO level? Yeah, 5 to 10K, 4 to 8. What about a freelance marketer on an hourly? Great. You can't just budget time for, you just can't budget cost here again. There's a cost for people, but there's also a cost of onboarding, managing them, setting expectations. So just keep that in mind. So people are so quick to hire and just say, okay, cool, go. And even senior people can be like, well, hold on, you got to give me something to like, you got to give me some sort of ramp up. Like every person, C-suite, VP, director, a lot of people need some sort of ramp to get going. Even salespeople who are maybe working for a beverage and go work for another beverage company. It's just, look, maybe they're not using unifying KE. Like maybe they haven't or had before. Those are all things just to consider. But Dustin, like again, people cost. What's salary in the open market? Oh my gosh, we put that out for free every year. We have over, I don't know how many, but it's well over 5 figures downloads for our annual salary report. This is real. This is a salary report. It's free. We release it every year. We just did a state of the industry report. Why do we do it? We continue to hear this problem of what do people cost? Other side of it, you're a founder, you're a leader right now whose business is just getting going. You're looking at numbers. Holy smokes, you're telling me like a CMO is going to be 250 at least? Yeah, a real CMO. Yeah, that's what market dictates. Look, it can even go all the way up. I have a CMO search on my desk right now, confidentially, that their budget is north of that. That company is at that stage. So can you go hire people for less than this? Yes, of course. But this is what market dictates. Again, free resources. We try to be as helpful as we can. Other question I get Okay, so I went and hired this part-time copywriter. I went and made my first hire, a regional sales manager, because we're just launching in the tri-state area, the Northeast, boots on the ground. We don't really have anything set up. Like, what's a basic, please take this with a grain of salt, don't quote me, package look like for a full-time employee? So let's talk through all these. Health insurance. Look, yes, health insurance. It's huge. It's a huge pain point. Can you get around it? Around it? Like, that's not a good way. Maybe there's someone who's on their spouse's insurance, but generally people need this. How can you do this? There are solutions. If you can't implement your company of three, and to implement a health insurance company is costly. It is. There's some alternatives there that we can discuss. A retirement account. Hey, do we have to have a 401k? No, you don't. Candidates ask for it though. They're going to ask. Paid time off. What's normal paid time off, Dustin? Is it the old 10 days, 2 weeks a year paid time off? No, that's not competitive. I think, like, look, 3 weeks plus is where you need to be right now. Well, what about equity? Do I have to give away some of my company? Yeah, at this stage, you probably will. But you can come up with vesting schedules that allow you to be strategic in terms of who you hire, that incentivizes them to stay, to attract the right talent. And you should be excited to reward those people if they stick with you for the long run. What about pat leave? What about mat leave? Yeah, those are all things that people are looking at. Other benefits. Goodness. It's 2025. And I would say within the last 6 months or so, and maybe last year, I would say more than half of our roles that we search for have an in-office requirement. Are they all 5 days a week in person? No. I would say some of those operator and finance ones are, but most of them no. But can you provide work from home? Is there something like a wellness stipend? Are you giving them a tech budget to pay for their internet and or cell phone? Is there mileage reimbursement for the salespeople, like, or these people in general? Other things to attract talent. These are attraction and retention tools here. But generally speaking, you're going to hire someone. They need health benefits. They want to have paid time off. They want to have equity in the company. It'd be great if they had a retirement account. It'd be great to have these other things as well. So it's other ways to sweeten the package. Sometimes if you just don't have cash. So 5 takeaways. I went quite quickly here, and hope that there's some questions. If there's not any questions, then super. What do you need help with exactly? Hey, Dustin, my co-man is, I need a new co-man. I need a director of ops. No, you need a new co-man. What do you need help with? Be real about understanding yourself as a leader and where you need the support. Budgets are budgets. I get it. I do. I promise. How can we go and get people for the money we have? I'm happy to discuss. That's a real challenge. And look, maybe there's a temp to permanent option with an individual. Maybe it's a consultant for 10 weeks, 10 hours a week. And then clarity before capacity. Define the need. I need a e-com manager to run my site through Shopify, including, hopefully can help with Walmart and Amazon in addition to. And I need them to do X in the first 3 to 4 months. So I think that's all I have. It's easy to find me.
Yep.
Call me. That 817. I'm from Texas. I live in New York. That's my email. That's my cell phone. If I can be helpful, happy to give you 10, 20, 30 minutes to discuss these things. It is important.
And just to say, I've known Dustin for, I don't know, probably 8, 10 years. I don't even know when we
8?
first, is it
Yeah.
8 years? I was going to say, it's probably been about 8 years. I've known Dustin. I knew him when he was in New York. I knew him when he was LA, and I knew him when he was back in New York. So Dustin is one of those people you want to reach out to. If you have questions, he's willing to answer those. I have some questions right now. There's a couple, I think, in the chat, and we'll get to those. And I certainly, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat so that we can get to them. But Dustin, is there every brand is different and every
Yeah.
need is different, but brands grow and they grow slowly. They have quick bursts of growth, then they grow slowly again.
Yeah.
Is there a size where you would say, just your gut says, don't really think about hiring full time? Whatever the need is, really look outside and really look to, to be able to do, some kind of, fractional or co-working kind of existence before you jump into hiring.
I love this question. I just want to qualify in all my answers. This is Dustin's opinion, and you could talk to someone else at ForceBrands who could think about things slightly differently. But I will try and answer your question and give challenging some rules of thumb. So I'm going to answer the first part of the question, and I, you might be able to, again, assuming on how your business is set up. If you've got your own manufacturing, this kind of throws it all through a loop. So give me an asterisk outside of that. I would try to get to 5 million before talking to us and looking at full time. I really would. Why 5 million? Let me give you this too. Shocker. 5 million, in my opinion, you might still not have proof of concept for your company. And I do think you can get to 5 million using outside resources. Let me contradict myself slightly, Tom. And also a decent rule of thumb is like trying to have not more than one person per $1 million of revenue. So your $10 million company, maybe you have 10 folks. I do know of companies that are 2025 that are close to the 100 million mark. So they're very strong pound for pound. What I'm telling you is they've got 25, they have 25 people, it's close to a $100 million company. So you could say that each employee is responsible for 4 million bucks. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Now, that's a direct to consumer business that has done really well. But if you told me we have 10 full-time employees, again, you don't have your own manufacturing and you are sub $1 million, I'd be very intrigued to understand your org chart.
And Dustin, in your experience, just your experience, what's the first position you see most people hiring for? What do you see is when they really need they've reached that point, what's your experience tell you is where they really go first?
I answer it, and I will say, generally speaking, it's sales. I would say it's a high percentage of sales. Now, I'm not saying that's the right hire for them, but I want to say most of the time when brands are saying, I want to talk to someone at ForceBrands because I need someone to move the needle in a major way, and I need to have maybe, I don't view it this way, but maybe brands do. We need some downside protection and some additional expertise. A lot of times, the first one out of the gate is I need a salesperson to break me into these distributors, open up DCs, break me into XYZ retailer, try to get me east or west of the Mississippi because it seems to be a geography that I'm blocked by for whatever reason. And I need someone to, I don't know how to do trade spend. I didn't even know what that word meant a month ago. Like, I need someone to manage that. I would say sales a lot. Now, to go back to it, like, it is interesting when I have brands who come to us for the first time and need finance help. And I go through the exercise of, okay, why do you think you need finance help? What's the team look like? What are your pain points? And I talk to a brand that's a $40 million brand, and they've been doing it with an outsourced resource. And they're coming to me. They've now taken institutional capital. They now need to answer to a board, and they need someone who understands the accounting a little bit more. That's a good diagnosis when you're coming to me. I'm like, hey, that's a controller. Like, let's talk about what a good controller looks like and costs. Now, that target can move. Maybe it comes a VP of finance, and I'm splitting hairs a little bit in titles, but sales is a lot of time the first time they come to us. I would say marketing as well. Ops is typically again, I'm not going to say it's not a panic hire, but typically something's gone wrong there. Um, where they're like, oh gosh, we need an operator. Like there's been something that's really hurt or bruised a person and they're like, okay, we need someone who knows how to do that. Again, there could be a short pain point that you can outsource it for. But like when I talk to brands who are really gaining traction, we talk about every department. Like, and I mean this, you might call me, Tom, and say, hey, Dustin, I need a salesperson. I need a national account manager. Why? Well, we're not in any national accounts. That doesn't necessarily mean a national account manager. Like, there's plenty of other routes you could go before going and hiring an AM, right? So it's interesting, and every business is unique. That's a tough question to answer, but I did want to answer it. Sales would be my hunch if I were to pull our data.
Okay. There is a question in the chat. Thank you for that. There is a question in the chat that I'm going to I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to put a corollary on it too.
Okay.
So someone asked, what's the process for finding, hiring, bringing on a complementary co-founder, okay, that complements your own skills. I'm
Yeah.
going to add a corollary to that. What's the thought process of hiring a jack of all trades? Okay.
Right.
What's that thought process behind? Well, I've got an experienced person who has done a number of different things, and I'm still a small company and I could hire that person. Can you give some thought logic about both of those that brands could use to think about that? Because we
Yeah.
do get a lot of questions. I need a co-founder. I can't do it all myself. Okay.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to take on a co-founder when you've already founded a brand? I think that's a really good question that I think people would like to hear the answer to.
Yeah. So when I talked about number one being sales, number two is probably co-founder, right? It's interesting. So how do I get a co-founder? How and or what's wrong with going and getting? Do you guys remember when job descriptions had the word ninja in them all the time? It kind of has gone away. It used to be, I just need a digital ninja. I feel like 1 in 4 job posts I saw were that ninja. That's gone away. It's interesting, right? That was them saying jack of all trades, right? Someone who can just do everything. So co-founder is really hard. Let me tell you why it's hard, and let me understand what the I'm going to tell you why it's hard, and I'm going to share some ways to make it less hard. It's hard because it's an intimate role that in your mind, for the right person as the founder, you believe in this through and through. And as a co-founder, you need someone who believes in this through and through, and ultimately is believing your product, but also you as a person. So that's why it becomes intimate. They're making a bet on both. The challenge is that there's very few people that are in a junction of their career to take on the risk without having a specific timeline for reward. They can't, no one has a crystal ball here. And so what gets really challenging in my experience is if you come to me and say, Dustin, I need a co-man. I'm sorry, shit, not co-man. Sorry for cursing, by the way. Need a co-founder. We can't pay them, but I'm going to give them a bunch of equity and I need them to help me raise money. That has come across my desk before. So I think, okay, you want them to come in, give their time, give their expertise, but you can't pay them. But once they help you raise money, then you'll start to pay them. Yeah, nope, of course. Okay. That's really hard because it's like, well, why wouldn't I maybe go start my own? Those people who are capable, why wouldn't I go start my own brand? Or why wouldn't I go hop on something that's got a little bit more juice behind it and proof of concept? So how? I think it's finding people who have gone through transition. So whether that's them sunsetting their business, or maybe they were a co-founder before, maybe it's finding someone who's just gone through a successful exit, i.e., let's just for giggles, let's use this brand called Poppy that got bought. Like those people are all there. They're all staying for retention bonuses, right? They want to make sure their equity gets paid out. They all go on vacation. They go out to Yacht Week, put their feet up. They come back. Some of them are crazy enough to say, I want to do this again. and maybe I'll do it at a different capacity. But just because they're a director of sales at Poppy doesn't necessarily make them a great co-founder, right? Now they could have a lot of institutional knowledge. There is an opportunity, and I would encourage you founders who are looking for a co-founder, there is an opportunity to talk to, look, everyone, I would say CPG is incredibly kind, the people are, at least I've discovered. You meet people like Tom, you meet people like Susan, they really help a ton. They'll make intros. There's an opportunity to meet people who maybe have a little bit of bandwidth that'll come on and advise for equity. But that's not necessarily a co-founder solution. I'll pause there because I could talk about it all day. So it's hard. Figure out how you can entice them outside of just equity, which is sometimes all you have. And maybe that's not co-founder. Maybe they come on and you get your foot in the door with them just for a specific project or offering. And maybe they're open to that for an equity percentage. And then maybe you're able to entice them as they get to know you, as they get to believe in the product. What's wrong with going hiring a jack of all trades? Really early on, I guess it's not, because you have so much going on and you do need someone who can just do a little bit of everything. And maybe you don't have a lot to pay either. So maybe, like, for example, a marketing manager, I see that hire a lot. And really, it's not just coloring within the lines of marketing. It's also including other things like, can you send this paperwork over to our broker? If you even have a broker, can you help me understand how to submit this paperwork to Unify or KHE? This is a disaster. Can you at least help me get someone on the line? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that early on. I think understanding that that person will eventually need to silo to a department, right? And this is totally okay. This is not a negative statement. Or you graduate from them, like the business involves, where they were a great admin, very organized, very smart. Now we're at a point where we can afford and seek out people with industry specific talent. You want to be thankful for that individual early on. Maybe you have to silo them to a certain role, or you graduate from them. But early on, look, if it's the best, smartest people you can get at the best price, and they're able to learn, they're smart. I do give this, when I'm working with brands for more entry level folks, I ask a question. Are we hiring for the role, or are we hiring for the person? What I mean by that is, do we need specific industry expertise now, or can we go get a smart, capable person now this is the cost though, and I will use the cost of my time to coach them up. And we have time and the team around them who can bring them up to our culture, to our ways of doing things. So, and a lot of times people are, look, I'm hiring for the person. And a lot of times I agree with that. Area sales managers, marketing managers, really sharp kids straight out of school, who just have hustle and take a really strong initiative. There's a lot to be said for that early. Your trade-off will be training them and getting them up to speed. Or are you going and getting someone who's more plug and play? Again, noting both will have a ramp up, one shorter than the other.
I'm going to make a comment on your co-founder discussion. I always advise everybody, bring someone on for a project. Okay, there's a big
Love that.
difference between, this is a great person, this is a great guy, this is somebody I can really get along with. We work together very well, as opposed to, it's somebody who's in making business decisions with you. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in that. So bring someone on, for a project basis for a limited time, maybe even with equity, but, see how it works, see how it goes, feel out the business pressure situations and how you work with that person. I've seen a lot of co-founders bring in their best friend from, college, and it's an absolute disaster. Okay. And, and it doesn't get you anywhere. And then you have to unravel some kind of deal that you made. And so it's very, very good to work in a project setting with people you bring on.
And I think it's important too to protect that equity. Like,
Mhm.
please set up your equity in a way. And again, I'm not a lawyer. Please consult one, that you're not just like bringing on a co-founder and giving away half your business. Like, do not do that. That is a nightmare decision. Don't do that.
Right. Right.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. But my last question, and I don't see any more coming in, but if someone has one, please stick it in there because we have about 6, 7, 8 minutes left here. But should brands really think about hiring from an ROI perspective? I mean, should they be standing there and building their performance data for a position as to what it's going to mean, how it's going to change the business? We talked a lot about filling the need, okay, and
Yeah,
filling the problem or fixing the problem or dealing
yeah,
with it that way. But should they really be thinking about these from an ROI perspective? What does a sales manager bring? What does a marketing manager bring? What does hiring out bring? Okay,
yeah.
finding that fractional CFO. What do I expect in terms of savings or revenue growth or the
Yeah.
mistakes aren't being made anymore?
So I'm going to I'm going to answer this as well, and I'm going to use sales first because this is one that happens. People say, well, if I hire a sales, if I hire a regional sales manager in SoCal, and I grab 0.001% of the market for my category, that person will pay for themselves 5 times over. So that's a no-brainer. I'll just hire an RSM. The fact of the matter, even senior level hires to justify their costs, early sales hires typically cost you more than they make. Um, Gross, especially net, right? I was working with a beverage brand out of the Midwest. These gentlemen were not from CPG and was talking to their finance person. And he was like, well, hold on. If I hire you're telling me I'm going to go hire a VP of sales at like a $1.75 on a base and like, 30-40% bonus. I'm like, uh-huh. Like, well, that's like 4.5 million cans to break even, like, net. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, we can't sell that. I'm like, no, you won't. But you're still proving proof of concept. So to answer your question, can you look at like salespeople specifically and calculate an ROI? You can. You're not going to like the number early on, especially as you're scaling. They're still building proof of concept. This is you're building for the later. You're building for larger distribution. You're building towards larger production runs that should bring your cogs down. So sales, marketing, it's hard the ROI. Look, if you can attach your marketing people to a number, especially like on the e-com and digital side, sure. For example, this really hot topic right now, TikTok Shop. Do we hire someone full time for TikTok Shop? A lot of our brands aren't. They're not there yet. They're not specifically doing it. They're hiring agencies. It is very reminiscent to when this whole digital e-com wave came and people were outsourcing all their e-commerce to agencies. And since then, a lot of brands brought it in-house, right? The same wave, I do think TikTok Shop right now is being outsourced. I do see a future where a lot of D2C first brands have a full-time TikTok Shop person running that because of the revenue and how well some brands are doing there. And it's not just your finicky little like cosmetic brands either. I know of it's going to be surprising. There's an ice cream machine company that's doing very well on TikTok Shop right now. They're using an agency. My point being, sometimes marketers you can assign to ROI. Salespeople definitely. The finance and ops people, ops especially, you get a good ops person, they're going to pay for themselves. They go and they source better ingredients, better packaging, negotiate a better deal at your co-man. They're probably paying for themselves
No
in the
lost
first 24
runs,
months.
no lost runs, no errors in the run, no
You'd
product
think
disappearing in the warehouse, et cetera, et cetera.
like that one, like get a good ops person, outsource it if you want to, especially if you start going and you have like 2 warehouses cross country. You're going to probably want someone with a little bit more horsepower and know-how. It's going to save you money. Like the money you spend, you're going to get back. Finance, same thing. If you have someone who can like keep you in good working order, help you work with margins, I think those people pay for themselves. But you can't say, oh, this outsourced finance person, or I've got a controller and they saved us 2% on COGS. Can you assign that was that the finance person? Was that the operator? There's sometimes things are intertwined. So I think it's really hard to assign a dollar amount. It's not how I necessarily would look at it. I do think you could help look at growth of where the company is going, but it's really hard to like say, okay, my director of ecom is going to help us grow 5 million. So I'm going to attach a $5 million ROI to that person. It's not that simple.
I'm going to add on to one thing you said, and I think it was a really wise thing for brands to think about. When you're every hire has a ramp up time, and if you're growing, you want to have that person ready to rock when your growth is hitting that, that potential you see. So, if you're hiring someone now and next March you're going to be coming on with Whole Foods, or you're going to be coming on nationally with a Kroger or a Walmart, or you're getting into a,
Yeah.
1,500 Target stores, start thinking now about what it is you need and can you function the way you are today, because you are going to need that ramp up time. It's just like we tell brands, you want to meet investors before you need to raise money.
Yeah.
Okay? You want to know that you have a qualified salesperson, marketing person, ops person, whatever it is, when you hit that ability to grow, to grow quickly. Because if you get into, 1,500 Walmarts and 600 Whole Foods, and you're organically growing, your volume can increase pretty rapidly, and you need to have the right people in place when that happens. So you have to be thinking ahead. We are out of time. I'm going to thank Dustin one more time and thank ForceBrands for making him available. They've always been a great partner here with Brandjectory, and we appreciate that and are grateful for the fact that they have and provided us support over the years. I do want to ask if there's any last questions, just slap them in there. I'm seeing some thank yous coming out. We will put this on our website. You will be able to view it. If you have questions, Dustin put his number up there. We put his email in there. ForceBrands website. Again, what I will say in closing, Dustin is not going to lead you down the wrong path. He's going to tell you it's not time. It's not the right point of this endeavor. You need to do something that works better for your brand. And he's always going to put you in that position of making good decisions. So it's one of the things I appreciate about knowing Dustin over all these years.
Kind of need to say right back at you, Tom. I really appreciate it. I'm here to be helpful any way I can. Any friend of yours is a friend of mine.
All right, folks. Thank you for being
Thanks,
here. Thank
everyone.
you, Dustin. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to everyone soon.